And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight Cate Holahan, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book out next week, The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold. Cate, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, great. So the story was kind of inspired by the Patty Hearst kidnapping, and it is really a tale about a 19-year-old Berkeley student from a wealthy family. Her father is kind of this AI tech genius, and her mother is a socialite, and she is kidnapped. And it's the search for her and getting her back, and the kidnappers kind of lead both her parents and the whole nation on this treasure hunt with clues to try and figure out where she is and why they took her.
Oh my gosh. I was wondering why you started with a Patty Hearst quote, because I'm also obsessed with that case and I have so many questions myself, so I can't wait to get to all of them. But first, I just want to welcome everyone because we are broadcasting live to 8 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you are in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, and because Mondays can be murder, we are going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Cate about her fascination with the Patty Hearst case, with how she created this character of Alice. The secret in the title, there is an Easter egg in here, and anything else that you are wondering about, just get those questions going in the comments. And if you submitted a question earlier in advance, we'll get to those as well. Let's jump right in. Renee is joining us from Southeast Florida. Welcome, Renee. So good to have you. Also, welcome Robin and Denise. Good to have you all as well. Okay, let's jump right into the questions that were submitted in advance. So first of all, Sherry wants to know about the title. Did you get to choose it?
Yes. So I did get to choose it, and there is an Easter egg in the title. I don't want to reveal it, but that was, in fact, the title kind of came to me before I even started writing the book.
So tell us about the moment when that title came to you.
Well, I think, it came to me during my research. So at first I was really, I was reading a lot about the Patty Hearst kidnapping, in part because I see some similarities between what was going on in 1974 and what's happening now. In the mid 1970s, there was this cusp of moving from manufacturing to digital world. So computers were entering offices and the workspaces, and increasingly the home. By the 1980s, you start to see a lot of that. And, right now we're at the cusp of kind of moving from a digital to, an age of maybe super artificial intelligence. And what does that mean for culture and for employment and just for America in general? And so I see those similarities. I really started to research Patty Hearst, and kind of as I was researching, I said, my, kidnap victim needs a name. And that's how that came.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have some questions about that as well. But first, Renee would like to know what research was involved for this book.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I read Jeffrey Toobin's book, American Heiress, about Patty Hearst. I watched the documentary. I also read her own memoir in her own words. And then I read a ton of books about artificial intelligence. One of the things that always drives me is writing from something that gives me a bit of anxiety. And so I find that I want to learn more about it. And then I think writing is kind of the way I distill that. And so some great ones was like Life 3.0, which is Max Tegmark. He has a great book on artificial intelligence and where it can go and what that might mean for society. I read, ones by the people that lead the AI divisions at Microsoft, and books about ChatGPT, and just really trying to get a sense of, where the people creating this, what use cases they see for it, and how they're treating the technology, and also, how they feel about regulation, yes or no, or whose job it is to kind of steer where we want this technology to blossom, and maybe where we want it to rein it in.
Ooh, follow-up question from Renee. Is AI involved in this story?
Yes. So And it is, because that is really, from the kidnapper's perspective, just like in Patty Hearst, there was this concern about what this technological revolution would do for the people that took Patty Hearst. There's a concern among her kidnappers of what this will do for their hopes and dreams and their purpose in life.
So I will be the first to admit that AI scares the crap out of me. I am such a technophobe. I am like a granny. I resisted getting a smartphone until an embarrassingly late amount of time. I was like, can I still get the flip? They were like, lady, we don't make those anymore. And I was like, I don't want to go with technology. And so I have been very wary and scared of AI. I don't even really know what it is, but I have been dipping a tiny toe into just seeing what the heck it is and how to use it. Cate, do you use AI? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, I mean, I think that, like a lot of technologies, it has great potential and it has great potential for misuse. So one of the great potentials is that it can, distill and crunch data in a way that the average person would not be able to. And so that, some people think with AI, we'll be able to scan our whole bodies and detect cancer early. It might even cure cancer. I mean, there's, who knows what you can do with kind of super intelligence, kind of drawing conclusions that the average person, or not even the average expert, would not be able to make. But then there is the concern of, as, for example, AI gets better at face swaps and this facial recognition technology that we see, how easy it makes it for somebody to clone somebody else, right? And how much we can trust what we see in video, how much we can trust what we read in the news, how AI could be used to kind of feed us particular facts that may or may not be true and make it seem pretty true. How also the roles that we want AI to play. Like, there was something going around social media recently where there's an AI actress who has been trained off of all of these performances that were done by real performers. And so that, raises the question of, do we want to watch movies where the people starring in the movie are human facsimiles but aren't real? They're just like extremely good animations to, but they look like people. And also, how do you compensate all the actors and all the people who A, could lose their jobs, but B, whose performances are what's being referenced when creating, this character? And that's just one example, but there's so many. And so I think that that's something that as a society we have to grapple with, isn't that how are we going to value the contributions of the initial intelligence that then is going into the AI? And then what places do we not want it? Do we want to say, maybe that the art is a way of human beings expressing things with other human beings, and we want to kind of limit it there? I mean, we saw that recently with some of the strikes that went on with the Writers Guild and SAG. Hollywood was shut down for better part of a year. In fact, maybe even a bit over a year. And one of the questions there was, what role is AI going to play in those industries going forward?
And I think this is especially top of mind for many authors and specifically thriller authors, because we just had a case go to court where an AI company had taken some pirated books and to train their model. And the authors whose books have been used to train those models are now entitled to some compensation. And so it's really top of mind now. I think for all of us writers, as we watch this case. Good question. How can you know if a book is you pick up a book and know if it's written by AI or a real person? It's probably getting to be hard to tell. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Cate?
Yeah, I think it is going to get hard to tell. I think also, the danger isn't really that there won't be a single person involved. I think the immediate danger for writers, I should make that clear. The danger, as I see it, being a writer and who wants to write her own books, is that you'd have like an editor at a publishing house who they'd have a lot of books written by AI, and then they would have like one editor do a pass of a whole bunch of books, and they would have them come out under different names. Right. But nothing was actually, but the initial drafts before the editor kind of just made sure that, everything made sense and maybe, isn't such blatant plagiarism, was done by AI.
Right. Oh my gosh. There's just, I mean, it's almost mind-boggling and overwhelming to really think about it. And yeah, I mean, wow, just so many my mind is scrambling to keep up. I just want to pause and remind everyone that the book is not out yet, and you can buy it from our favorite human woman owned independent bookstore owned by Ms. McKenna Jordan. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So as we are wading deeper into these AI waters and conversation, the spark of humanity and the joy of independent bookstores is becoming even more, really hitting viscerally. So remember that every time you swipe your credit card, you are voting for the world you want to see. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is the link to buy Cate's book, The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold, from our favorite woman-owned bookstore. And you guys, the book is not even out yet. It drops November 1st, and Cate is coming on tonight to give us an exclusive sneak peek and take all of your most burning questions. So be sure to pre-order, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you first thing on November 1st. Cate, I want to talk to you about the multiple perspectives. So one really cool thing that I thought that you did was that we hear from the kidnappers. So actually we hear first from them. So we open with Liza Ring and the day before the kidnapping. Then we go to Alice's mother. And you mentioned that I have so many questions. Okay, but first, multiple perspectives. So did you know from the beginning that you were going to write this from multiple perspectives? And did you know who those perspectives were going to be?
Yes. So the primary two perspectives, the kidnappers are in there, just kind of, there's that thing that we do in thrillers where occasionally you show the monster, right? And you get a little bit of a glimpse. But the main two perspectives are Alice Ingold, the kidnapped victim, and her mother, who is searching for her. And so I knew I wanted that because one, as things are happening to Alice, that increases the tension, and you have to worry about, are the kidnappers going to keep her around? What value does she have for them? And then also, I really wanted the parental perspective, and one, because the mom is the one that's kind of getting these clues, right, and trying to figure out the mystery of her daughter. But also, I think as a mom of teenage daughters, I wanted to put in this perspective of, as the mom is kind of dealing with this worst nightmare, having to evaluate who she is as a mom, and when, were there instances where maybe she was too much of a helicopter mom and that created some issues? Were there instances where she should have been more vigilant and perhaps dropped the ball, and that allowed safety lapses for her daughter? Kind of what role did she play in this? Plus, she has some guilt because she understands that as much as her money has provided all this privilege for her daughter, it's also made her a target. And so there is a little bit of an awakening among the mom who, I think at first has a lot of blinders on about society and who she is. And also, I think blinders about she's been insulated by her money. And all of a sudden, the money isn't helping her as much as I think she always thought it would. And so that's kind of her journey. And I hope that while I can't personally relate to having that kind of wealth, I can relate to the mom part. And I hope that a lot of readers will be able to.
And you mentioned at the beginning of the interview that you write from a place of your own anxiety. And I mean, one of my biggest fears is getting kidnapped. I don't know why. I'm so afraid of getting kidnapped. I think it would be awful, the worst, most terrible, scary, terrifying thing. And I can imagine that as a mother, it would be even more terrifying, or equally as terrifying, to think about your daughter, one of your daughters being kidnapped, and that desperate feeling, I've got to save her, I've got to find her. Will they kill her? What do they want? How can I make this right? How can I find her? I mean, that terrible, panicked feeling.
Yes, I think definitely, I think a worse nightmare. Also because I think there is it's a particular kind of hell to know something is happening and feel like you should be able to do something about it, and
Yes.
not be able to, right?
Oh
Or
my
not be
God.
able to the way you want to. And especially when you're dealing with people who are used to, because of their positions, controlling a lot.
That is a special kind of hell. It's that that powerlessness. Yes. Oh my God. And another thing that I thought was interesting that you explored was the mother's perspective, and Alice's perspective, and everything, which I think, because mother-daughter relationships are rich and rocky territory. And so, from that second chapter where Catherine is going to visit her daughter in a neighborhood she doesn't like, in an apartment building that's, not renovated for residential living. This is not what she wants for her daughter. And, Alice is like, hey, God, mom, get with it. It was, and I found myself sort of equally torn between and compassionate to both. I could see myself as the kid, God, be cool, man. But I could
Yeah.
also, I'm also at a point in my life where I'm like, oh, I could be that mother. I've chosen not to have children, but I'm 48. It's like, oh, I can see myself being parental and judgy.
Yeah.
So it was just so, and I have my grandmother's dishes. So when, and I love my grandmother's dishes. And it's so funny because, something happens to Alice's grandmother's dish, and she's so worried about it. And I'm like, oh my God, if I dropped my grandmother's dish and it shattered, I would be so upset. And I would be, and she's having this thought of like, oh, I could replace it, but it won't be my grandmother's. And I would have that same thought. I love that. What do you have your grandmother's dishes? It was such a random, rich detail.
Yes, actually, my grandmother had these flown blue china, and so there was definitely some reference to that. Maybe because I'm very careful.
Oh my God, I'm so careful. I
Yeah.
never used them. They're from my grandmother from 1936. And I keep them, in a display cabinet because I don't even want to touch them because I'm so afraid of dropping them. And it was like, I actually, that was one of my questions. I was like, Kate has got to have her grandmother's dishes because only someone who's safeguarding a dish could know how upsetting it is.
And it's funny. When I was writing that, I related to both because I remembered being, in my early 20s and getting an apartment in the village, in Greenwich Village, like above at the time it was this bar called the Lion's Den, and people would get very drunk, and like once there was like a shooting on the street, and I remember, I thought it was so cool. It's like I was in a walk up and I was in the NYU area and I was super cool, and all my parents could sit there with me and my female roommate was thinking like, they have to walk past, a dozen drunk dudes to get up to their apartment, right?
Right.
And so they had that view. And then now being a mom of teenagers, and they go, oh, come on, like it's just a party. It's just a Halloween party. And then they're dressed in their Halloween outfits and they're going out, and if they're going to be out till midnight, and I'm, asking to track their location, which is so lame. And so yeah, so it is true that that thing that parents always say, it's like, wait till it happens to you. And so now I'm here.
I knew I was starting to get old when I started thinking like, oh my God, that's, what is she wearing? That young lady, that is not appropriate. Instead of thinking, God, mom, you're so uncool. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting older now. Oh my gosh. Do we use the dishes daily? I never use them. And then I think to myself, what am I saving them for? Because here I am, I'm never using them. And my grandmother would want me to use them, but I'm so afraid of breaking them. Do you use yours, Kate?
For special occasions like Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you bring them out and then you're like, don't anybody trip, don't anybody touch them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're used as serving platters.
And then, okay. See, and I would never put them in the dishwasher. Like, no, because I'm so afraid. Well, I love that. Oh, thanks for all the hearts on Facebook, you guys. All the bouquets of hearts are coming up. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. So funny that Alice and Kate and I all have our grandmother's dishes. Okay, Kate, how many books have you written? Remind me total.
Oh, so this, Kidnapping by Ingold was my 7th solo book and my 10th overall, because I write the series Young Rich Widows with Kimberly Bell and Vanessa Lilly. And yeah, so 10 overall. And then I have book 11 coming out next year. That's Last Looks.
So what would 10 books published, Kate, want to tell first, working on her first book, Cate, that may be relevant to everyone who's watching who dares to dream that someday they too could write a book? What do you wish you knew?
Um, One, I think is just keep writing, and also don't be afraid. Sometimes a book won't sell because it's the wrong time or it's the wrong topic, or sometimes something similar came out and there is that thing of spontaneous innovation where you think of an idea and somebody else has an idea that's really similar, and their idea is already being halfway, to publication. So don't be afraid to sometimes, if you're trying to sell something and it's not working, to go, okay, new idea, and write something new. And it doesn't mean that book will become trunk junk, though sometimes it does. Sometimes it just means it wasn't the time for it, and you'll revisit it later. And so I think had I done that, I might not have tortured my first few books and kept like rewriting them to try and make them like something else. And I really should have just come up with a new idea.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. We have a question about your co-written books. Which character are you in the books that you've written with Kimberly Bell, etc.?
So I write Justine, who is mixed like myself. I'm Jamaican and Irish, and so sometimes once people see us, they're like, "Oh, I can see which one she writes," because that part matches. But yeah, I would say that. And then Justine is the one who I think has the lowest risk tolerance in that group, which is also potentially true. So that's kind of where I have similarities with the character. And I did love writing Justine, especially in that first book, because she starts off at what I would argue is the lowest point. Because not only, and you know this from the back of the book, like not only is her spouse blown up in a plane like all the widows, it's given out way in the title, Young Rich Widows, but she immediately also finds out that her husband had been sleeping with the other partner's wife, because when they find out that the plane has crashed, this woman yells out, "Oh no," in her husband's name. And so she has that double blow, which I think, trying to then write an arc where that character comes from that to strength was a lot of fun, but also a lot of work to kind of build that person up.
Renee is saying, Cate, thank you for answering her questions. Such great questions. I want to remind you guys, the book is not even out yet, and you will want to order it from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, or in one of our 2 private Facebook groups that are watching with us, here again is that link to get your hands on The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold. Okay, let's get back to some of the questions that were submitted in advance. The cover, did you get to choose it? And how many choices did you have?
Well, I think they always give you some examples, and then you can kind of steer towards one. But really, art departments and publishing houses know their game, and they know it better than I do. So I always say that I kind of let the experts handle it, and if they ask me, I'll go, "Oh, well, I like that one. That one looks interesting." But very rarely am I, trying to push through a cover, because what do I know? I paint with words,
Excellent. And the last question that was from submitted in advance was from Sharon, who wants to know, did you get to choose the voice?
Yeah. So yes, I think they gave me some examples, but again, it's like they narrow it down, and then you kind of pick from the short list.
And how many did you get? And you chose this one?
I'm not sure how many. I'd have to look back, but I think they give you usually like 4.
Yay. And you picked this one and you loved it.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Sharon, thank you for the great question about the voice. I always want to know these things too. Okay, great. Let's get into some of the craft questions. So Cate, give us a peek into your day as a writer. Do you write every single day? Are you are you a morning writer, evening writer? Are your butt's not leaving the seat till you get 1,000 words down? Or are you like, it's not working, I'm not going to force it, because if I do, the writing will feel stilted? Give us a peek into your day as a writer.
So when I'm writing and I'm on deadline, I do write every day. I try to finish at least half a chapter. It depends. If the I try to get like 1,500 words. So if the chapter's 3,000, that's half. If it's a short, pithier chapter, that means the full chapter. And I don't let myself leave until that's done. Usually, because of the way my brain works, I'm more creative in the evening. So I find what I tend to do is I wake up and I start writing. Well, after I drive my kids to school, I start writing. And a lot of time that ends up being editing, because also I find that to fully get into the characters' voices, I tend to read the last two chapters I had written. And so then I will edit. And then by the time I'm actually like hearing the voices, and I always know, because I'm a big plotter, like, this chapter is going to go from this point to this point, and that's what I want to get done. Then I write. So I think when I'm writing a book, I tend to write almost from like 9 until 9 p.m., but with some breaks. And then after I'm done, usually with the first draft, it takes about 4 months. And then I set it down, and then, I set it down for a couple of weeks to clear my head. And then I go back in and we start with the heavy lifting of rewriting.
And I just want to make sure I understood. You start at 9 or you finish at 9?
So I probably I probably do 12 hours. I start at 9 a.m. and then
you go from
I
9
finish
a.m. to 9 p.m.
It's at 9 p.m. But then I will, obviously I take time for dinner. I pick up my kids from school and they start their homework, and then I go back on. But yeah, so that's why.
But
and then in
creative
between books, when I file it, I'm so sorry.
But you feel more creative at night, you said.
I feel more creative to actually write at night. So a lot of times it's editing is the first like 4 hours, and I'm rewriting while I edit. And then, the characters' voices get refined, and then I'm kind of creating more at night, which is why it's such a long day. It gets a little faster as I get to that last act of the book, because at that point I don't need as much let's reread and edit and fine tune the character's voice. It's more like I know what they sound like, and I can just go.
Well, I am just so happy that someone finally said they feel more creative at night, because most people who come on here say that they're morning writers, and I'm out here a night writer by myself. So I'm just so happy I'm not alone.
I feel like it's
Renee saying, yeah, I thought that Renee saying she thought you started at 9. I thought so too. I thought you were saying you started at 9 p.m. Okay.
Oh, when they finish at 9 a.m. Whoa.
I didn't know.
Yeah. No, but I think that it's something about the harshness of day that makes me more critical. And so I'm better at editing during the day and, kind of letting things flow at night.
Me too. I totally agree. And I love what you said. There's something about the harshness of the daily. And I don't know what that is, but it's, I live in the city, and I don't know if it's just like the city quiets down and there's nobody ever, the sort of the buzz of daily life, and everybody just sort of quiets down, and in that quiet and in that stillness and in the magic of the night sky, I could feel more at ease. Or whether I'm just a night owl, which is also true. But I'm just so happy someone else finally said they're a night writer too.
Yes, definitely.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Okay. We are almost out of time. So I just want to remind everyone, last time to buy your books from a woman-owned independent bookstore. Again, we want to support our favorite indie. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. And you can pre-order now, and the good folks at the store will send it to you first thing the day that the book drops. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here again is that link to get your mitts on The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold. You guys, thank you so much for joining me for Mystery Monday. Cate Holahan, thank you for so much for coming on and giving us the inside scoop on Alice, her mom, and the kidnappers, and letting us get a peek into your process, your writing day, and all of the things. Ooh, great question. Are the books signed? These books are not signed, but you know the deal. If you send me your receipt from Murder by the Book, I will send you a Mystery and Thriller Mavens bookplate, and I will get them signed from Cate. So just DM me your receipt from Murder by the Book on Facebook, Instagram, whatever I do it all. So wherever you prefer, you can email me through your website, and I will get you a signed Mystery and Thriller Mavens bookplate from Cate Holahan. Thank you for that excellent question. Very important. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and thank you all for your excellent questions. And thank you to all of the people who are watching and not commenting. John, thank you for joining the conversation from Northeast Ohio. And thank you also to Norma, to Sharon, Denise, Danielle, Robin with a Y, Robin with an I. Oh my goodness, Patty, Nancy, Marie, Marilyn. I can't get to everyone, but I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Alan, Erica. Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. I see you. Thank you for joining us. It's so great to have you. And I will be back with you next week. And Heather Gudenkopf, you're not going to want to miss her.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.